corporations come in and buy out all the properties. They don't want independent businesses in the state. They don't. In the state of California, the hardest thing to open is a private-owned business. A small business is one of the hardest in the state to open. All of the businesses, as far as what models are, the hardest one to open, business model open, is a restaurant in this state.
And then it's good. It shouldn't be like that. We're feeding people. You know what I mean? That is the most important part of human being.
You can do a PMA or a PMO, which is a private membership association or organization. And what that is like Costco.
Yeah.
Like if you think of Hobby Lobby is a PMA, but they're faith-based. So they are religiously, so their tax rates are
here.
Then when they shut things down, you only have members coming in and eating in your establishment. So now,
here, I got another one. Here you go.
You don't have, it's like a country club. You don't have to abide by all the laws and regulations. Wow. It's federal, but not the state. Wow. So now if you do nonprofit, now if you take the government out of your pocket about 30 to 40% of tax, because they can't tax a nonprofit. So what you do, like I was trying to do before COVID, and I was working on it. If I would have had another year, all of my restaurants would have been nonprofits. And I would have been able to give every year, all the way up till about 2019, I've been putting back in the community about $250,000 in giving to nonprofit organizations. I would do fundraisers, I would do donate time, like 10% of my sales. I would do SPCA, I would do Make-A-Wish Foundation. I was doing all kinds of the city within the town around me, around the community, basically either by donating money, time, labor, food, or providing services, about $250,000, all that's gone. So all these organizations I used to help out, they're at a deficit of that $250,000 I used to give. And so where are they going to get it? The biggest contributor to the nonprofit or the community in the city is the small business. We're the ones that usually go above and beyond to take care of our communities and to do that. What I was trying to do is if you had 10 burger places, 10 burger restaurants in the same area, and all of them were for profit, you had one nonprofit, and at the end of the year, they took what they had left after they paid good wages to their everybody was on wages, salary.
That's right.
You were getting non-profit status, so all your cost of goods would come in cheaper, your electricity would come in cheaper, your insurances would come in cheaper. Everything comes in cheaper because you're a nonprofit. They can't tax you. There's not an associated tax, so your food didn't get another tax on it. Your electricity didn't get a tax on it. They couldn't tax you because you fell under nonprofit. So with that, you save 38 to 40% taxes. Now, if you made $1 million a year and you save 40% taxes, $400,000 a year on one business, one restaurant. Now you take that $400,000, you take say 300,000 of it, you do retirement, 401k, profit sharing, good salaries, medical, dental, you pay all of that for the employees that work in that restaurant. And now you still have say $100,000 to $200,000 left at the end of the year. Within a 20-mile radius, you do something earmarked. You have a board of directors and you go, you know what? We want to put in this place over here needs roofs on their church, or they need community services, they need parks renovated, they need off-site, opportunities to feed the hungry. And you take that money and you influx it in at $200,000 a year. You got 3 restaurants. That's $600,000 a year. You're earmarking. They can't come in, and the government can't come in and say, "Oh no, you have to put it to here." No, you have a board of directors. You make that decision. You only have to have a board of 5 people, 2 to 3 of which can be actual owners or workers that are established in the restaurant. The other 2 can be your CPA and some other nonprofit organization, like the law firm. Now you take that money. Now you got those 10 burger places. One of them is turning around putting $200,000 back into the 20-mile radius community. Where do you think those people are going to go eat at? When they know that business right there is putting money back in the community to help it with all kinds of things. Now
and
all
you
these
can sell it cheaper too. Now they can afford your food.
Because again, you're not paying. That's what people are saying. Well, businesses should be able to pay a living wage. How
Yeah.
We're paying the government more money than what we're making as a business. Typically, restaurants make in this area 1.5 to 5% profit.
Yeah.
You have savings plans. If you put your cash into Cash App savings, you get 4.9% interest. You're better putting your money into Cash App savings plan, getting 4% interest, than investing in a restaurant. If you invest in restaurants because you care, it's because you want to be in business, it's because you want to work on your own, and you don't want some government official telling you how to do it. But unfortunately, in the private community, in the small business community, government oversight is so much heavier on us than it is any other organization. I mean, when you look at these corporate restaurants like Wendy's and all that, when they had all these freaking foodborne illnesses and where they're getting their food product from. They're getting them from third world countries that pay crap wages, have no benefits. Red Lobster was so bad at one point, they did a sting operation on Red Lobster. People were diving for Red Lobsters, coming to the bins and being paralyzed the rest of their lives, losing their arms, their legs, and all this. Not a word. Red Lobster still does it. Still does it. But in the state of California right now, you have about 12,000 to 18,000 restaurants that are shutting down for good. And that's just the restaurant side. That's not counting Winco's. That's not counting CVS's. That's not counting all the businesses shutting down in San Francisco and
So
LA.
do they think AI is going to feed us?
Yes.
They're going to feed us?
Because if they condition us like they've been doing, the government is here to take care of you. Don't ask the question. It's, I tell people this, people don't realize, I read a lot.
They're making money off us, the government.
Everybody, when you look back at during the slave era, and they say the Emancipation Proclamation freed the slaves. No, it did not. It created a monetary system throughout the world, Western culture, of slavery. So now we work for what? A monetary system that keeps us in debt. And now they created COVID to create more debt. The average person going into COVID had no less than maybe $5,000 to $10,000 in credit card debt. It's at $45,000 to $65,000 in credit card debt right now. And there's no way to pay it back.
And nobody's accountable.
No, because we're too busy fighting a war in Ukraine that we shouldn't even be in.
And it wasn't even our med. I mean, it was my med. They should be accountable in paying us for
we had a treaty with Russia not to involve ourselves or be involved and set up a union on any bordering country of Russia. And we broke the treaty. And we've sent trillions of dollars to the Ukraine to a guy who's an actor. He's not even a president. And Mexico just voted in a woman who's not even Mexican. She's not even a national. 37 of Jewish. 31 of the other candidates either died, or hospitalized, or disappeared.
They were assassinated.
Gone. She won by default. So you're wondering what the hell. And now Russia is putting arms less than 66 miles off the coast of Florida, in the Gulf of Mexico as well. In Cuba, Haiti, their ships are in course. And the reason for that is Biden told Ukraine to go ahead and use our military weapons to fire into Russian territories and into Russia. That's an act of war. So now Russia went around to all their allies. And you know who one of their biggest allies is? Mexico. And Mexico wants to buy weapons from them that are capable of hitting the United States.
So they have to put it right there.
We need to get our heads out of all of the world politics.
We're not getting into World War III, though. Hopefully not. We are. I'm ready to go to Africa.
We already declared war on them. No one knows.
Yeah, it already happened.
It already happened. We already did things that are actual wars. We cut off, during the war of World War II, the reason why Japan hit us was because we froze all of their accounts. All of their financials were frozen because we said it was retaliation against them hitting China and going into the islands. So we froze all of their accounts, all of their income, or all of their owed debt. We froze it. And we did that to Russia. You know what Russia did? They turned around and did it to us this week. So
that's what they do.
They already did. So now the other thing is, when we did that to Japan, Japan was like, you have no recourse to action. That's an act of war.
Yeah.
When you freeze our income,
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
freeze our assets in other countries,
Yeah.
bank
Oh my
accounts,
God.
everything were frozen. That's an
Wow.
act of war. That's a prelim to a war. When we did that to Russia, they were like, no, we do not want to be another, we don't want to be a part of this world, new world order.
Yeah.
You know, and Putin's warned people of it. You know, it's this new world order proposed by the Western cultures is dangerous.
It's dangerous.
It's dangerous. It's worse. It's getting close to communism.
Yeah.
It's where you have no
So
rights.
it's like, yeah.
And with the American debt and all these idiots voting the same way.
Yeah.
You know, they're not voting. They're voting for their feelings, not
Yeah.
for fixing anything.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hate to say it, but when Trump was in office, we had the lowest unemployment rate. We would have been out of this problem in 2021
Yeah.
with COVID. Now you have Dr.
Look where we
Fauci
are
and all
right
these guys admitting that the 6-foot rule was not based on science.
Yeah.
Dr. Fauci wrote a paper about the 1800 Spanish flu, and the two things he noted in that was people were wearing cloth over their face that contributed
Yeah.
to the virus because you couldn't clean it. The other thing was people staying in their homes and not getting enough air outside in sunlight. And what did they tell us to do?
Stay
Lock down and quarantine in our homes.
Yeah.
So all we did was
Yeah.
pass it
And
on.
take those.
And then the fact that,
I had
COVID
to
did
take
not
one
come
time.
from
I'm like, no, because I had to travel. And they're like, you can't come in until you have your vaccination. I'm like,
You have.
oh,
And
in
now
the
we
name
know-
of the Father, the Son, and the
And now
Holy
we know that the
Spirit.
vaccine was nanoparticle technology.
So you have nanotechnology.
That
So I only
is
took it one time,
basically,
though.
it's
I
rewriting
prayed.
your
Yeah.
gene structure.
Yeah.
Who? What?
The vaccine.
Oh.
They already came out with it. There's all these doctors all over the world who warned us, and they shut them down during COVID. They literally were trying to throw them in prison and squash them and shut them down. Now you have people from all over the world. Australia, their AG came out and publicly said, "We are sorry. We were misinformed. It is our fault.
What?
We
That's not-
advised you wrong, and the World Health Organization lied to us. The National Health Institute in America under Dr. Fauci lied. We now know that the virus came from the Wuhan clinic, which they denied. It was a bioengineered weapon from gain of function research.
Yeah.
They took something that was not contagious
Wow.
to human beings, and the gain of function research is basically weaponizing it. The
Whoa.
Ukraine has the evidence because the Ukraine is why we're defending it so much. We had a bioweapons factory. We can't have them in the United States,
Yeah.
but we've had them in China.
Wow.
We've had them in Ukraine. We've had them in other countries. So we can be the American people are oblivious to it.
Yeah.
There is so much going on right now that we are in
Yeah,
deep
but
trouble.
because it is important time. We are in the most important time.
We're in the end times.
We
We
are
don't get our
in
shit
the
together.
end time.
American
I'm
people
telling you.
have been so, my family is Jamaican Irish. And I mean, we have been now so many years.
Yeah.
And the Irish people are like,
Yeah.
no more.
Yeah.
And the Jamaican people, my family in Jamaica look at me and go,
They've been
what are
saying
you
that.
thinking? What are they
Yeah.
thinking? What are all these
What
people
are they
thinking?
thinking?
They're literally creating racism in your country so they
Yeah.
fight against each other.
Yeah.
And no one wants to fight against each
Yeah.
other. Most people just want to go to work. They want to have a job. They want to have
And
income.
they
They
don't
want to have a life.
provide and
You can't even have, most people in this state need to have over a $200,000 income per year to live like they did 10 years ago. To live like they did 10 years ago.
that's what I'm saying.
It's
And the
insane.
government come after me because they have no clue about business. Look at in our state here. I mean, they never been doing business.
I went to the Capitol when they tried to do the minimum wage increase before. I had 12 of my servers there, and I said, if you keep pumping the minimum wage without considering some things, I go, first of all, they need to have a minor wage, 2 minor wages. They need to have a prior to 17 wage, maybe a 15 to 16 wage, and a 17 to 18 wage. And those are minor wages, 10.50 an hour. These kids are living at home; they're not emancipated yet. So 10.50 an hour, then it goes to 12.50 an hour, and then when they hit 18, it goes to minimum wage. I go, you also need to have the server tip wage, which should be half of what
Yeah.
the normal wage is.
Yeah.
And I said, by law, state and federal law, if a tipped employee is supposed to make $20 an hour as a minimum wage, and they only make $10 an hour in tips, and you're only paying them $5 an hour tip wage, it is up to the employer. By law, they have to. By law, they have to on your book. Your system will automatically kick them up another $5 per hour to meet the minimum wage requirement. And I tell these politicians that, they're like, no. I go, it's in this law. Read your law.
You know what they do? They brush everyone with one brush. So we have to struggle like those people who are making $10 million.
It's because they want the 1% to stay.
They brush us with everybody else.
You know what the biggest number of millionaires in the United States are? Are politicians. Yeah. That's the highest volume of people, of millionaires. They do insider trading. They sell stock when they know the market's going down 3 to 5 days before it goes down. They're told in advance because they're on the meetings committee.
They invest in it.
Like
they
Nancy
put money in
Pelosi
it.
sold all of her stock in United 3 days before the lockdowns.
Yeah.
How did she know?
No, that's how they get rich.
How did she know?
Yeah.
And you got these politicians. The president himself or herself only makes $500,000 a year. You have people all the way back. And if you just want to include the Clintons, the Obamas, so we'll just use the Obamas. When the Obamas went into the White House, their net worth, liquid, like they had available, was $200,000, but they equated about $2 million, $2.2 million. When they got out of the White House, they had $222 million net worth. You only make $500,000 a year. So 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million. If you didn't spend a dime of your own money, all you could have had was $4 million. So how are you getting out of the White House with $220 million? The Biden administration, they're in the hundreds of millions of dollars since he took office in profit that he has made in his net worth. And it's like, they own mansions. Nancy Pelosi owns 4 mansions. She's the highest paid person in
and
politics.
what do they do for the underrepresented communities? Zero, nothing.
None of them
They're
took a pay
still,
cut.
look at our
Very
community still walking in pain, suffering. People are like barely living paycheck to paycheck.
That's where they want us.
We have so much homelessness.
It's slavery. The homeless are probably the smartest of all of us. They don't have to pay taxes. They don't have to pay taxes. They can put in for social services, and many of them will get it. Before we went into COVID, our social people that were on social welfare system in the state of California was 37.6% of the population. Now think about that.
Wow.
California has like 36, 7 million. And let's just feel the illegals that are living here. We're at like 39 million people. Now, that's not all those people working, but when they do the census on the population, how many people are on social welfare? 37.6% of that 36 million are on social welfare. Now, you're closer to 48 to 52% of the population is on social welfare. Now look at who is working. You got less than 12 million people working in the state of California, paying for everybody else that is not working.
Wow.
It's not that.
We have 12 million people working for the state of California.
Maybe.
That's a lot.
But again, you had 36 million people.
Yeah, but it's still a, you see what I mean? Imagine if we are business people that money, we would have, California would have been somewhere.
California is the 3rd largest economy in the world.
Yeah.
They are, it goes China, the US, China, I think it's another country, but they're the 3rd largest economy. If you took this California as alone, they're in itself, out of all the countries in the world, California rates 3rd as far as income.
Third now?
Yeah.
Wow, I think
but yet we can't repair our roads. They want to impose a 30-cent per mile tax on people driving them.
Where is the money going?
Because they say the electric cars are taking away from all that.
Do you see where the money's going? Do you see any change in our community?
No.
Do you see any change in the businesses and all that?
They look at the roads.
Yeah.
The gas
look at our
we have
businesses.
the highest gas tax in the nation next to New York. And our roads in New York and here are the worst in the nation.
Yeah.
Whereas in Florida, we have the nicest roads in the world.
They
never
have
shut
no
down.
homeless.
They don't have the homeless crisis. They don't have the poverty rate. My son lives out there. The state is growing.
Yeah.
And they don't want that. So they're busing in all of these immigrants from the border, which they just now had 16 of them attempt to attack facilities. They caught 3 of them trying to hit the 4th rag, and they don't even put that in the media.
Wow.
So you have people coming across the board. You have no idea who these people are.
And California is the most beautiful state. We
They
have
don't-
perfect weather.
They want
Good
everybody
people,
to be under
just
control.
rich. Yeah, everyone they want to be rich, and then everybody no,
They
it shouldn't
want
be like
only
that.
their people to be
It's like we're
rich.
paying for the sun, but they're not doing a good job. And I mean, the governor said last time. He said, what did he say? He said California is the richest state, at the same time the poorest state. Then find the middle ground. Then
California has the highest wealth of all the states in the union.
yeah,
Yet they have the highest poverty rate,
that's what
the
I'm saying.
homeless rate,
Yeah.
the disenchanted rate as far as roads, means, facilities.
Because this few of the people, the elites, are hidden in here.
Because
And
people,
instead
they're
of sharing
selling
with
people-
the small businesses, now they come after small businesses, and instead of in fact putting the money into small businesses, and we don't even have that much, and they take from us and give it to themselves to those companies so they keep on making money. That's evil.
Well, you consider your payroll tax. You run a $10,000 payroll, it's
Yeah.
almost 20
That's
because
what
of
I'm
all the
saying.
taxes.
And they
So-
get payroll tax, they get sales tax, they get tax. I mean, they taking from our mouth.
That's
How
what
are
I'm
we
saying.
gonna hire our
That's why I'm
local
saying we
community?
need to start a conglomerate of
Yeah,
businesses
we gotta
that
do
are
that.
nonprofit,
Yes, let's
that
do
are
it.
social. I want to call it social community nonprofit businesses.
That's what the
And it's in every model.
Yeah.
So if you think of a jewelry store, a
Yeah.
hair salon,
Yeah,
it can be anything. And,
Yeah.
and people are like, oh, it's too hard. It's too hard. It's not if you have a conglomerate.
yeah,
I know a law firm.
yeah,
My friend, her husband and her have a law firm that's nonprofit, and they represent all kinds of people,
yeah,
and they're nonprofit.
Yeah.
So they do fairly well. With a nonprofit, you have to show no profit in a year.
yeah.
You have to be reasonable about who you pay and what you do,
Yeah.
and your board and
We
everybody else.
should do every day today anyway.
But look at the
So what we do
nonprofits.
is
Look at the
nonprofit.
George Soros Foundation, nonprofit.
A lot of them.
Look at the Clinton Foundation, nonprofit. The Bush Foundation, nonprofit.
Even
You know, all these
Bill Gates,
politicians, Bill Gates,
and
nonprofit. The guy
all
has
of-
100, he has like $5
Because
trillion.
they're not paying taxes,
And
they're
he
putting
doesn't
it back
pay
to the
taxes.
non-profit. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's how
Exactly.
it is. We
And
gotta
they
learn how to
don't do
that.
anything for the betterment of
Yeah.
our world.
Yeah.
They just try to control
Take and
it.
take and take and take, but we still have kids who don't have no food.
Because our education system is horrible right now.
They're horrible.
Our education system is too busy teaching kids about their gender. They're
Yeah.
not teaching enough about the sciences, the
Yeah.
math, the history.
Yeah,
You know, the history is so dated. Those who win the war get to rewrite the history.
yeah,
But most people don't realize that slavery and all of that went around every culture.
yeah.
And the person that started it in the United States was a man who sued another man for indentured servitude. And my family knows about it because all of us, my whole family was in indentured servitude. My mom, or my dad, and his family were sharecroppers for a farmer when they moved here in the 20s and the 30s. So we were born into this country, just like any religion says you were born into slavery, created for slavery. You were basically part of slavery in this world. So we need to break that
Yes.
because if we don't, our politicians have us in slavery. We don't. Our
Not
politicians
only
are
that-
supposed to fear us. They don't because they steal elections, just like in Mexico.
They're not only doing that, they are destroying the next generation.
Oh yeah.
We're not
Our
learning
kids,
from their
our kids will
history.
just be a part
That's
of
what
the
I'm
system.
saying.
They're convincing our kids that the government needs to be bigger and control them.
Yeah, what are they gonna
It's
do
insane.
our kids? If they don't become entrepreneurs,
You
if
need,
they
you
don't
need
become,
that's the other thing. We need to get an education system started that is a nonprofit,
yeah,
that is an alternative to
yeah,
kindergarten,
yeah.
daycare, all the way up. And everybody asks me, like these politicians who are
That's
throwing
what I
stuff
was
at me all the
talking
time.
about.
They
that
said,
just
well,
yesterday.
how do you get people back to work? I go, it's easy. They were like, how so? And I sat in this meeting with them. The only ones that wouldn't show up was unfortunately the Democrats. And I have a bad taste in my mouth to visit them because my family was all Democrat,
Yeah,
all the way up through JFK. And then my dad was like, what are they doing?
yeah,
What are the Democrats doing
Yeah.
to this country? And it was all about more power, more politics, more
Yeah.
power. More. So basically,
look at what happened since even Democrat took over. What happened to black people? From mass incarceration from drug into put into their
How can we
family
have a
and
president
destroy
who's such
the
a
red
racist?
lining and from
Yeah.
one to another. Come on.
President Biden and a guy named Raymond Byrd. Raymond Byrd was the longest sitting U.S. senator in history, even to this day. Raymond Byrd in 1953 denounced his KKK membership as a grand dragon. In 1929 and 1933, the KKK marched in both those DNC national conventions.
Yeah.
They were the
The
strong
DNC,
arm of the DNC.
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
They
And
first,
people don't know that. They're like, no. There was a great switch in the 1970s. It's like, of what?
Yeah.
The Democrats became the Republicans. The Republicans became the Democrats.
Yeah.
It's like, no. First of all, Raymond Byrd was a KKK member. Okay. When he died, two people gave his eulogy. Obama and Clinton. He was a KKK. I don't care if you denounced it in 53. You went from your childhood all the way up to the point that you were in your 50s
in your blood, that's in your
and
blood.
60s.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want. That's like Hitler denouncing Nazi Germany after he committed atrocity.
Yeah.
You already committed atrocity. He was the biggest recruiter of members in that region.
Yeah.
And yet, here we have, so it's all a bunch
It's
of,
a game, definitely.
they don't care. And those wicked people have committed genocide against their own people.
Yeah.
Hitler was a Jew,
Yeah.
and yet he killed the Jews. Okay? Idi Amin, look what he did to his own people. Look at Rwanda and what happened there. Because of who? Because of politicians going in there and telling the Rwandese, okay, if you're dark black, you're farm work.
Yeah.
If you're light black, you're pretty. And they created hostilities between the same people. And that's what they did in this country. We all came from one seed. We all came from one region, and all it is just like Freud said. It's not about evolution, it's about adaptation. We adapted to where our region of life is. Just like a bird in Alaska has bigger feathers than a bird in Southern California. You know, an owl in Southern California has lighter feathers because it's hot. An owl in Alaska has thicker feathers. Are they still an owl? Yeah. We're Homo sapiens sapiens. Period. There is no other species of human beings on the face of this earth that I know of. Yet the skin color is what the politicians use to generate the hostility. And they've been doing it since the beginning of time.
But that's the only way they can control human beings, right? Because otherwise, if we unite, they're in trouble.
And that's the problem.
They
We
can't.
got close to uniting.
So what I realized, what I realized is divide and conquer works for them. And when our prime minister, after he took over, he started by saying, because we have this tribal war in Ethiopia, like divide, division, and he came up and said, you know what, we all have to adapt, let's adapt one. And guess what, everybody was like, yeah, now we have such, an amazing guy who can do like unite people. Guess what? When he started realizing that way people are united, they're gonna come after him. Now he even got an award for uniting people, but he ended up dividing again because he knew it wasn't gonna work. So you have to go back to the division. Now Ethiopia is in war.
Genghis Khan wrote it best in his philosophy of war. To separate and divide is to conquer. And if you can separate the population on every aspect, race, creed, color, religion, height, skin color, the way they talk, the way they breathe, the way they, everything. The more you can separate the culture of people that are one, the easier it is to rule them. The easier to control them because you keep them at odds, at each other's odds. So all you have to do is keep fueling them.
Have you read the letter? It's called the Willie Lynch letter. Oh, you got it. I always tell people, look, if you want to know American history and where we are, why we talk the way we do right now, when you read Willie Lynch letter program, you gotta read it again. You see, Oh, it makes sense
There's
over here
another good
right
one.
now.
There's a good
When do you want to
writing.
hang them up?
Not good. Horrible. But the guy that wrote it was involved in Hitler's memes, and it was written by
Yeah,
Edward
I'm done
Bernays.
with what I
It
wrote.
was written in 1928.
So I don't know if I'm doing
And it's
now
called
or
propaganda.
whatever.
And it is literally a playbook. And
I just finished doing all of these, so
Let me see what you did.
take the media, take control of this.
I was kind of
infiltrate this.
covering that. Yeah, so
You finished everything?
Demonic
Yeah.
people.
You should have a red one. Red pen. I have a red pen like
no,
that color.
I did.
Oh, okay.
It didn't work.
Well, you know what? Yeah, the colors over here outside. But I'll show you a marker that you should have with you, you know, because you do a lot of stuff. That comes handy.
Okay.
You know, white, blue, whatever you like.
Horrible ways to get the people to hate them. And it's done today.
So
When you watch the media, all
I only
it's
see
about,
3 over there. So over
because
here is Haile Selassie and
people are
Balmari, she said over there.
people are an animal
Right here?
species,
Yeah.
and we
She said
have
Haile Selassie and
instinctive
Balmari.
animal nature in us.
But that
Oh,
light,
yeah,
what
you
is
could-
that
would be
light?
cool, yeah.
That light,
Oh,
what
that
is that
Negative
light?
and positive.
I think that's for like the fire lamp, fire,
Yeah,
Because
light that
So-
flashes, you know.
yeah.
so you watch
So you
TV,
cannot hang
you
on
watch
top
TV,
of that.
they
You
get more
only
money
have
because you're
one
watching
space there.
So it's all about the money.
It's all about, it's
You
all
think you
about
can have 2 there?
Yeah.
when power comes.
And the other side you cannot because it's
There's
too
no
narrow.
bigger financial gain.
How big is
You can
16
no
by
money,
20.
but if you have
Oh, so
control,
Yeah, they're all the
They
same,
do
16 by 20.
it's like the kings and queens.
So
Yeah.
maybe,
Kings have no money. They just have the ability to make
and
people
over there, like the same thing.
living with threat
Over there is 3. Over there.
genocide. I mean, we've had
And that's how they feel threatened. They have the power. They take the money from our account.
maybe 2.
I mean, technically, the government, that's what they do. Even though we cannot afford, they can come and shut us down.
You don't pay any hours.
Yeah.
You buy a house, you buy a business, you buy a car. And a friend of mine works on, it's even your birth certificate in this country. It's a certificate of birth. Your worth, personally, you're worth like over $1 million. Because when that certificate of birth is given, that's like given to the banks. That's given to the Federal Reserve, and they can print money based on what your worth is to them. Because they base it on your work life, how much you're paying taxes. So now, if you go and get yourself separated from the country and become your own nationalist, you can tell them to give their money back. Because credit, like in a mortgage and everything, they wrote because they sell your mortgage, right? And they should have a certificate of sale once they give your mortgage to somebody else. If they don't have that, they're default, and now you can own your home without paying anything. There's all kinds of things being written. So I'm doing a lot of studying, and a lot of people working with me to figure out a way around what the politicians have done since the Emancipation Proclamation. When that paper went down, our rights went away. As and
And
you
hiding behind
and
this
when-
policy.
look at Kennedy's speech.
Yeah.
Kennedy's last speech before they assassinated him, he was going against the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
The Federal Reserve is a joke. It's, the Federal Reserve is a conglomerate of 5 private banks.
Yeah.
The Federal Reserve is
Most
not a
of them
federal
are in
department.
Europe. They are Europeans.
Yeah. There's no.
European banks
Yeah.
coming together.
Well, that's
So-
the new world order,
Yeah.
and they want it to be crypto.
Yeah.
So, like right now, if you drive 90 miles from your house, your card won't work. Some countries are already doing that. Like you try to go buy something 60 to 90 miles away from your house, your card won't work. You don't do what they tell you to. They shut off your power. They shut off your electricity. They shut off your banking. We go to crypto and no monetary, no fund system. That's why setting up a different monetary system unto itself, like some of these people have done out in these rural counties and areas of different states. There's one area out in Tennessee, there is no dollars in this community. They set up a central bank within that community. Everybody works, everybody does farming, ranching, teaching, everything. It's like 20 plus families. And they basically have their own community. And what they utilize is their own source of financials.
Their own.
So they don't utilize anything, and they don't use anything of the national power grid. Because again, our electricity since Tesla has been light. So you think of the Tartarian Empire before the Great Wars of like the Tartarian Empire. I've seen engines that you set a generator and it's all magnetic. There's no electricity to make an internal power generator. I got friends like powering their whole houses. We have the technology, we have the knowledge, and it's so basic.
Yeah.
But the people that have tried to generate it and get it to the world public, they're gone. They're gone. Tesla committed no crime. But when he died, all of his stuff got confiscated. Because guess who owned Edison? Owned General Electric. General Electric had politician involvement. So when that man died, all the 80 boxes of information he had disappeared. And then when his son finally got it back, there was like 40 boxes missing of this technology. So we have the technology. We've always had it. It's like when you look at old churches and different things, like power plants. You look at the flooring, it's all copper. It's all mercury. You know, like these big steeples on these
And
churches.
they get it from Africa and Haiti, and the people are so cool. I mean, these people, aren't they not even afraid? This
No,
floods
because
you to
they
eat
keep us
with
distracted.
everybody,
They keep
but
us
they
fighting.
can't eat everything.
But again, the end is low.
That's what I'm saying.
With all the Euphrates drying up,
Yeah. You know what he talks about in Daniel? That's what I was actually explaining it to them earlier. Where I feel we are. You know where he talks about the golden era, blah blah. We are on the bottom where it says it's sun and metal cannot mix. Now we can put the earth and now trying to mix with computer and all this metal stuff. Everything is metal around us.
well, because we've taken away,
The robots is gonna come back made up
Because
of metal and all that
we
stuff.
have lost our vibrations.
Yeah.
Like, think about all the stuff with iPhones and stuff, what it generates. It breaks up the magnetism in the earth.
Yeah.
It breaks up the vibrations. And it's like years ago when they told you to get rid of lead paint, oh, it's dangerous, your kids could eat it. How many kids died of lead paint?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
There's nothing showing how many children or people died of lead paint. But when you had lead paint in your house, the natural radiation that comes from the sun wasn't able to penetrate your house, so it wouldn't disrupt your mental.
Yeah.
Look at how smart we were back in the 20s, the
Yeah.
30s, the 40s, in the 50s, and then all of a sudden, 60s, 70s, we got done with it.
Yeah.
We're not
can't
in tune
even
with our
think.
patterns,
Yeah.
our chi,
Yeah.
our natural 13 levels of awakeness. We don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
We're not at one with the earth.
Yeah.
You know, we lost that vibration, you know, to clean our pineal gland, you know,
Because
so
we
we can have our
bring
third eye.
us our phone, our
You think
our
about when you were
kids,
young,
that's
how
it.
enlightened you were. When you were younger, how you thought way outside of the box.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it just slowly, it's like your eyes are starting to close.
Yeah.
You know, and medically, look at all the medical issues we have now. You didn't hear about this stuff when I was a kid. You didn't hear about cancer. You didn't hear it because they poisoned our
Autism
food.
is like pandemic. Even Ethiopia, we don't have autism in Ethiopia, but here,
But
Oh,
look what they
wow.
flew the skies with. I have friends of mine that are pilots. I was in the Marines. So one of my friends said, do you believe in the cloud seeding? I mean, I was like, you mean the chemtrails? I mean, yeah. You know, I'm smart enough to know what chemtrails are. When you see a jet flying over and it's moisture,
yeah,
it'll dissipate within 2 minutes.
yeah,
A chemtrail will be up there for hours.
yeah.
And when you do a toxicity level on it, it's heavy metals, aluminum, granite, all this other stuff. You can take a magnet on top of your car
Yeah.
after a day where you see all that, and lo and behold, in the next couple hours, you're going to see it start flying again.
Wow.
Because
Yeah,
they're
I see
hiding
them.
from us what we need,
Yeah.
and they're polluting our
Yeah.
atmosphere.
And then they're trying to get the air to give us some. Yeah, you're messing up.
Well, you
with it.
heard about what country was it?
They're trying.
There was a
even
country
in
that
here.
told mandated that every 5G tower get taken down. They literally said, we don't want 5G because 5G is interacting with the COVID vaccine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the nanoparticles, and I knew this going into it. I go, I don't trust this shot. A friend of mine, her and I worked in the military,
Yeah.
My background was chemical, biological, nuclear, and virus warfare.
Wow.
So as soon as the virus came out, I was like, first of all, it's been out since 2017.
Yeah.
And they tried this shit on us back in the 60s. Back in 1965, they had a virus, a SARS virus. England and the US with the CIA decided to see what a pathogen virus, how much it would spread. So they did a covert operation in 67 to go on public transportation. They actually have training documents and videos online that they show you these old videos where they had these briefcases where they would go on, they had canisters, they would spray it to get people sick and see how quickly it would spread around the world.
Wow.
So they've been testing this shit for years on us.
Yeah.
And
Before
the
that,
flu,
remember?
no one had the flu when I was
Before that, they did that to black people.
Yes.
They actually experimented on black people. So
In
many
Africa.
black people. Here isn't.
Yeah.
In the African
Oh, yeah.
American,
In
in the
inner cities.
30s or in the 30s.
30s
They
and 50s.
forced the black people to take the vaccination to experiment.
Well, it's like the what is this? Tetanus. Do not take it. Do not do all these
I don't
vaccines.
take
Do not
none.
take any more vaccines. You can't trust
Yeah.
anything. When you go to the hospital, you need to make sure you say, I don't want anything in my
Yeah.
system. If I get tested for it, I will sue you
Yeah.
as a hospital. You make them sign a waiver that they're not going to put anything in your system that is bioengineered.
Yeah.
You have to go in for medical surgery. You make them sign it, get a waiver made, printed. And when they go to do surgery, you say, all I want in my system is anything to maybe relax me,
Yeah.
maybe to avert the pain,
Yeah.
and maybe, put me to sleep.
Yeah.
But I don't want any other bioengineered nanoparticle in my system. And you make them sign it with the understanding if you get your blood tested and there is something in there from their involvement, that you will sue the hospital. Because they are trying to get it into our system. The thing is, we never had linear blood clots in our system. They weren't known of. Since the COVID vaccine, if you got the boosters, if you got up to like 2 or 3 boosters,
Yeah, my dad,
everybody
my
started
brother.
getting linear.
Yeah,
3-foot long blood clots that
my
were
brother
fibers.
last time right here, they say he took like 3 times because he got COVID. I told him not to take the he
And the
took.
COVID,
He had blood clot
it's
right there.
literally, it's a protein that's eating and using our bodies for energy. We're just nothing but a battery. My dad said this one time. We watched the movie The Matrix. My dad was born in 1929. He was in the Western, Africa, those kind of things, And he watched The Matrix. I was like, Dad, I know this isn't for you. It's all make believe and all that. The one statement about taking the pill and it being a battery, that's when he hushed me. And he watched the whole program, wasn't into all the violence and all that. But at the end of it, he goes, did you get the message? And what was the message? He goes, all we are is batteries. We're getting closer to being actually a battery. He goes, the chemicals they're putting into us, Michael, all we're doing is generating energy for with our existence. And God did not intend that. He wanted us pure. That's why when we wrote scripture, the scripture about any belief you have, they always say, eat the fruit from the ground, including the seeds. The seeds will kill the parasites.
Yeah.
You eat an apple. Even people eat the pit dates, like pears and stuff. They always said, "Oh, it has arsenic. Arsenic kills parasites." It's in a.
That's why you eat the pumpkin seeds back home.
Pumpkin seeds,
Pumpkin
apple
seeds,
seeds,
yeah.
watermelon
Papaya
seeds, seeds,
Papaya
even
seeds.
peach,
Yeah.
nectarine seeds.
Real peach,
Yeah.
not hybrid peach.
Yeah. Because back home they use especially pumpkin seed because we get a lot of parasites, pineapple and pumpkin seeds. So how you get rid of all your parasites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minerals.
Because God has given us already the medicine that we need to heal our body
Well,
from the,
it's just like
the
this.
natural thing He gave us.
John D. Rockefeller, after World War II, went to Nazi Germany, took over and purchased a chemical weapons factory. With the combination of that chemical weapons factory and his petroleum, he created medicine
Yeah,
and took us off the natural medicines we had.
banned.
Yeah. Is that in
And
Germany?
anyone from working in hospitals that he had built,
Where is that in Germany?
that was
No.
in Germany,
Yeah,
but in the
yeah,
United
yeah.
States, it started, but Rockefeller started the pharmaceutical drug industry. by using petroleum.
And he's part of the 13
Now you think
bloodline
about
families that run the United States.
you think about all the vegetable oil, the codseed oil, and all this. It's all horrible for you because all it is it's all processed in stuff that is horrible for our body. They've created vegetable oil is good for you to make vegetables. What kind of vegetables? Horrible vegetables. Cottonseed oil, rapeseed oil. You know, all this is toxic to your body. Coconut oil, good.
Avocado oil.
True avocado oil, true olive oil, but you got to be careful with olive oil too, because China is producing a petroleum. All of these oils that they're using are petroleum based. It's just like aluminum and fluoride in our water. Fluoride has aluminum. Aluminum is why we're having an Alzheimer's rate, ADH rate, and all of these toxic elements are in our water system. Fluoride is horrible for the body. We didn't have cavities and stuff in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. And we also, the sugar industry got started. There's a good documentary called Sugar Coated. They have been poisoning us for almost 100 years now. And it's been intentional. The last 75 to 100 years is about poisoning us to get us under control. We're opening our minds, and we do not have our free thought.
But we can reverse all that.
We can. It does not take more than 25 days to truly detox your body. You have to get
But
away
not
from
only us, not our body reverse that, but we can reverse what is going on in our world so it goes into the right direction.
But it's an awakening that has to that we are so taught against by our own people because conspiracy theories and all this. It's like it's not a conspiracy. The word conspiracy theory was created by the CIA after JFK was assassinated.
Yeah.
There was never a term ever used called conspiracy theory.
That's where they coined it?
That's where they coined it. The CIA created conspiracy theory for all the people saying that, that man couldn't have shot JFK. He was way up in the tower with a Mauser that was rickety as hell. And then how did they find him in the theater so quick when they didn't even know what the man looked like? And then all of a sudden they got the first CGI photo of him standing with a newspaper of that day and the weapon, and you look back at it at the time and you're like, they cut it out. It's kind of like the moon landing.
Well, the filming of that assassination, you could see the tree in the background where they edited the actual footage that they released.
They have a part where the car's driving and a tree disappears.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
The other thing is they found the rounds that he shot. If he was truly shot, they hit the concrete. The guy that shot JFK was in the car in front of him.
Yeah.
Two things happened. They said the driver turned around and shot him of the lead car in front of him, but also they said that there was no small arms in the lead car. That was a lie. They found out later that was a lie because you could clearly see the guy.
Did that?
We did. Our own CIA did it.
Yeah.
Our CIA, FBI.
Because he was trying to take away the IRS's component to the funding that they, Internal Revenue Services, and
the IRA was created.
No, not only that. JFK, after he wrote the Civil Rights Movement, and then with Martin Luther King, they had a reparation bill to pass to give the black people to fund. That's what they did.
He did it on 11/11, so that the bill.
And the other guy came in and vetoed
Johnson.
it.
Johnson said, and they have this on record. Johnson got on the plane. He was like, basically told the pilot to leave. The pilot refused because he goes, "You are not the president. I have not the word."
I don't even know
he is dead. The other thing was the autopsy was by law in Texas was supposed to be performed by the coroner in Texas. The CIA and Secret Service told the coroner in Texas, "You don't get it." They came in and took the body, and at that time, the coroner that was doing the report said there was no way that one bullet did all that damage. The bullet that was used was an incendiary round, more or less, like he used in 223 rounds. He was hit with a 223 round because the fragmentation in his head was particleized. And if it would have been a Mauser, it would have blown his head clean off his shoulder.
They probably set up the other guy. If you know the history of him.
Well, and then Ruby shot him because as soon as they walked up, the thing about Ruby is the police officers that were involved in the walkout of Ruby, met Ruby at his bar 2 days later, or 2 days earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, there was been so much. We lost our country in the 60s.
Yeah. Because
We lost it in 1960, 63. We started losing our country.
yeah, because what happened is even they deliberately colloquially turned the black people into Democrats.
Yep.
You know, black people were for Republicans before. Even Republicans are the ones who fought to get rid of slavery. So they showed some picture in terms with that to get that
That was the
reparation.
great switch.
The
they
policy, yeah, they switched them, but they killed JFK. Now everything went down
said. That was like
from
with the
them
NRA.
time.
They make the NRA out to be bad, but the main arm the blacks in the South, the NRA,
Yeah.
because the blacks in the South were getting attacked, and it was against the law for them to have any weapons to defend themselves. So the NRA went down there, armed them, and when the KKK rolled in, it wasn't the same battle. The KKK got put down many times because of the NRA.
But they are gives both of them some guns. So that's another company that we can, you know what I mean? It's both ways. You know, people are dying. Somebody's making money,
Oh yeah.
even with the gun here. Especially when you have in the hand of the African Americans who are young
Yep.
and they're not mentally
Oh, the
there
mentality.
and they're not financially stable.
They're
Is
gonna-
what is going on. That's what is the
Well,
real
it's like our
cause
public
of
school
it.
systems.
Yeah.
It's like you got all this money going into the public school system.
Yeah. But
And
it's not.
none of the schools are built
Mhm.
to say, look,
Mhm.
you have all these tax dollars going in, it should be a conglomerate. Every state should pay into the federal school, and then every school should be made exactly the same way
Yeah.
and funded.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Why
It's
not?
like one county pays this much in taxes, so their college
That's
style,
what I'm saying.
their school looks like the Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
And then you got some.
You go to the black community and it should be the other way around. In fact, the community, the underserved community, you should build the best school, the best for them to go and create that access for them. But you, I mean,
Well, look at Biden. Biden didn't want desegregation in schools. Him and Raymond Byrd all filibusters to keep it from happening. And Biden's words were, "I don't want my kids going to a jungle."
yeah,
It's like, what do you mean by that?
yeah.
Well, that's Biden. He says stuff like all the time. You know, it's just old man Biden.
Yeah.
He's just throwing a joke.
But look what they had his kids.
Yeah.
One dead, one in prison, and one his son having an affair with his own, you know.
Mother's wife.
Yeah. What did you see? That's what I'm talking about.
This is all media to keep
Yeah.
us. All this stuff they're doing right now in the media is to keep us
But they
distracted.
judging the poor kid. You see what I mean? So that's why, like, for me, it does, like when you say it's like it's the war coming in, I think we're going to see it in our own time. Because these people, they're taking us into the ditch.
Well,
And
people,
nobody's stopping that.
people are going to have a revolution, but they better figure out.
Yeah.
That's why they're trying to get the military so low.
They vaccinated all of us, of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the ones that didn't, you
They're
know,
gonna kill us all first.
I got people I know that didn't get vaccinated, and their contract military now. You know where they're at? In Russia. They're working in Russia in the
Wow.
military. I got friends of mine that are farmers in the Midwest. They're moving to Russia
Yeah.
because Russia's like, we need you.
Yeah.
It's obvious the United States doesn't want to support the farmers,
Yeah.
private farms. They want corporate farms. We'll give you land. We'll
Yeah.
help you with resources. Come here with your knowledge and we'll support you. So we got all these people moving to Russia because they don't want to be a part of the New World Order.
Yeah.
And the New World Order, the Western culture of capitalism and all that.
But Africa did not vote for it. 40-something country in Africa didn't vote for it.
No.
Only 1 or 2
Oh,
voted
yeah.
for
New World.
yeah.
Yeah, that's because
Yeah.
money paid for that specific person.
Yeah. Yeah. Right there. Right there. No. If you go this way, go straight and on your right hand side. Yeah, too much going on in this world, honestly. We gotta pray. Because God said that the people of Ethiopia will raise their hands to their God when the last day come in. You know what I mean? So we really have to be careful what we passing to these kids. If it's not for us, you know what I mean? What are they gonna do? Suffer too? No. We can't do those things. So we gotta be. It's fine. Yeah. So I think all this. That's why I think it is important to create our media
Correct.
to have
Expose,
that this
educate.
voice really.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, to teach and educate people what's going on. So what do we do as people? We don't need to wait for government to come and save our, you know what I mean, behind.
They've done enough damage.
Yeah. So we can organize. You know who would be the best people to talk to about this, to who would support us?
Who?
The libertarians.
Well, they
Libertarians.
want equality
Yeah,
for
the
everybody.
libertarians are like that. They not, you know what I mean?
Right in the middle.
Yeah, they want the power to be the people, to the, you know what I mean? So they're in the middle. So libertarian, I know the guy who runs John. He runs for libertarian, and their sense is like they're in the middle, and it
They've
makes
always seemed
sense.
like that.
Give the power to the people. You know what I mean? But if you are suffocating us with your taxes, with your thing, and that what you think is what it is, and then you come after 2, 3, 4 years, oh no, we were wrong, but this is the right. Now here you go. But people just get this way and that way, and we just move. You know what I mean?
Well, again, our leaders aren't leaders. So the moment you stop leading people to positively empower them is the moment you should stop.
What was your friend's name?
That's Michael.
Michael. Okay. I wonder if Michael, does he have a non-profit yet?
You can ask him. I'm not sure if
I
it's
think it
active,
would, you know.
but he is
I think
again.
it would be a good one for us to add him until
Yeah.
once we come up with our
Yeah.
foundation, the non-profit, and you know, he'll be a good one too because he knows what.
Yeah, he's decorated.
Yeah.
He's done it before.
Yeah,
He's also combat trained.
yeah,
So when it comes to like being in the field, he
Yeah.
was in the field.
yeah,
That's why he's telling you
Sure.
he's got a lot of eyes
yeah.
around the world.
Perfect.
Because we got to protect the lens.
Yes.
So everybody that I bring you is going to be, if they're not creative, they're
Yes.
a player
Thank you,
to
thank you.
support the business.
Yeah, hindi ko sudah ka nagkakilala, okay?
Hindi sakto.
Not just like, I don't know.
Zahulatan ko niyo.
Yeah, talaga.
Zaan. Anthony. So we need to remove that as well right there. So we need to have 2 there and 1 there and 1 there. So did you tell him what goes where?
For, yeah, he looks like, you know.
No,
I'll
write
sign
it
you
down.
over.
Write it down,
Let me
please.
write it down.
Yeah, both of you write it down because last time Anthony just did whatever. He mean well, but we gotta structure everything. Yeah, where everything is going, put it on right here.
Yes.
You see, that's the wall, so we have those 4.
Yan sika, halos lahat ko lang sila.
One, yeah. Mahal mabrato.
Zika. Zika. Mabrato.
Siga, so nag-ritual, where is what goes where?
We write it down.
Anthony,
Yes.
have you wrote it down what goes